Welcome back to BB Kingle Halloween Origins. Now, in this episode we are talking about witches. The green, haggard, hunched over a cauldron with a black hat, black cape, mixing up a potion with a black cat next to them, riding around on a broom. Or are they actually like that? Well, let's have a look at their origin story. As History.com says, witches were perceived as evil beings by early Christianity in Europe. So going back to early start witches, they were people who were misunderstood, and they even date back all the way to BC, and in the Bible. The exact time when witches spawned on earth is unknown. However, in the Bible it is mentioned in Book 1 of Samuel between 931 and 721 BC. The book is about King Saul, who went to see the witch of Endor so that she could summon the dead of a prophet. King Saul done so that the spirit can help him defeat the Philistine army. Witches were quite a big mention in the Bible, and I'm going to read a few statements out here. So in other Old Testaments, such as Exodus 22:18, that says, "Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live." Leviticus 19:31, "Regard not them what they have familiar spirits, neither seek after wizards, to be defiled by them. I am the Lord your God." Leviticus again, so you kind of like them. In 20:27, "A man or woman who is a medium or a necromancer shall surely be put to death." So they've been mentioned and people don't like them for whatever reason. However, looking at the origins, it's in the 1400s when it takes a huge turn. Catholics and Protestants were at war, and they decided to try and spread their religions their own way. So Catholics would go to small villages where people, usually women, would be working on the herbal remedies, just trying to get the people in the village better if they've got any illnesses or anything. So the Catholics went there and claimed this was witchcraft. However, it was just their everyday life. And then people started getting tortured, and they had to admit that they were a witch, and they sided and were in cahoots with the devil so they could get rid of them. And they said, if you become a Catholic, go to church, pray to God, this will not happen. These people will not do what they're doing. They were making up obscene rumours of what these witches were doing during the night. Some were going as far to say that they were killing babies and coming up and summoning the devil during the night and plotting schemes, taking crops and making people in their village starve. However, that wasn't the case whatsoever. For example, in 1486, two German Dominicans wrote a book. It is translated to The Hammer of Witches, and basically that book was the second bestseller next to the Bible for 100 years. And that book had inside ways to hunt, interrogate and distinguish a witch. And these people were just eating it up. They were absolutely loving it. The book's proper name is Malleus Maleficarum. I may have butchered that, however I thought I'd give it a go. So these people were believing that these people were witches, even though they're just going about their regular lives. However, the Catholics came in and filled their heads full of nonsense to make them believe that they were witches. Some of the torture they'd go through was indescribable. So we just say a woman. If she sank, she wasn't a witch. If she floated, she was a witch. Try and find me anyone who will sink as soon as you put them into water. You can't, it won't happen. So just as daft stuff was going on. However, I won't go into too much detail about that. I'll do a whole separate video after Halloween Origins about the Salem witch trials and all of the witch trials. I'll do a nice big video going into the depths there, and here we're on about origins. So where did the green come from? The black cape, the black hat? Where did all this come from? Flying on a broom? Where did it come from? Well, my sister has a lot of witchcraft stuff, and she's given me this to go through. So, for one example, brooms. Witches flying on brooms. Where does that come from? Why is that a thing? In here, I'm going to look. So, in this book, there's introduction all about white witchcraft, brief history of witchcraft, tools for 21st century, powder crystals, all that stuff. Everyone does that. As you can see, I've got a light on. Well, candle. I've got a crystal. My guy. Soak them in moonlight and stuff. That's all witchcraft. So I'm going to go to tools for 21st century witchcraft. I'm just going to give you an example. So I'll bring this back when I've found a thingy, right? Right, found it. So back in the day, brooms were made out of sticks. As you've all seen, the brooms, they were all sticks, and a woman was a houseworker, so she'd be sweeping the floors, doing her daily duties. So that was already associated with women, which is also associated with women. So due to their tools that these women had, and they were just going about their daily lives, just making herbal remedies for the village, they would use exactly that to help them make a few things. So I've gone into this book, and I've gone into the things you can use as like candles, incense, wands, obviously. All this different stuff you can help do a few witchcraft stuff. And broomsticks are one. They were one they had readily available. So, as we know, a lot of lies were made, and people just said that they rode them around, helped them fly, and like I said, they would go to summoning the devil. They'd go to devil worships on their brooms, and then they'd organise killing babies and all this terrible stuff that was just made up. So someone back then would have seen a broom being used and switched it to something else. A Catholic man would have said, yeah, that's what they were doing instead. The main thing the broomsticks were used for back then were to clean your house. They were used to get rid of energy. Energy is in people's footsteps, so they'd go through the house, sweeping up everyone's footsteps, getting rid of energy, keeping a clean slate of energy. The all black clothing, the pointy black hat, the big nose, the facial deformities all came from medieval Catholicism and Christianity. They done so to denigrate practitioners of pagan religion. The origins of the witches started off from the Christians, the Catholics, the Protestants, all striking fear into people just so that they would change and become Catholic, so that they wouldn't become a witch, so that the witches wouldn't affect them, even though there was no such thing. 80,000 witches were killed between 1500 and 1660, 26,000 of which were in Germany. 80% of that 800,000 were also believed to be in cahoots with the devil. Like I've said, this is all just a load of rubbish. Some, yes, may have been doing some magic, a bit of black magic here and there, but nothing would have kind of impacted their lives, and others were just doing their regular lives, just living them as normal, but they got called a witch. So there is the origin of the witches, and if you did like this video, please check this one out here and follow me on my search for the origins of the most famous Halloween creatures.